Hi friends, in this video tutorial, we would be studying about the new AutoCAD 2026 user interface. But before we start with the training, I would first urge you to open the file introduction.dwg which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let's begin with the training. In the top left corner of the screen, over here, you see the red A. This is called as the application menu. It also has a flyout and you can invoke it by clicking on this drop down arrow over here. The moment you click on that, you will see a menu which gives you options like new, open, save, save as, import, export, publish, print, drawing utilities, close, options, and exit AutoCAD. So this is the application menu and you will find it in the top left corner of all the new versions of AutoCAD. Then next to the application menu on the right, you will see you get options like new, create a new file, open a file, save a file, save the file with a different name, open from web and mobile, save to web and mobile, and plot. You also get options for undo, redo, and then there is a flyout which you can use for enabling or disabling options over here. So this area is called as the QAT, which is the short form for quick access toolbars. So the options which are check marked are the options which are visible in the quick access toolbar. The options which do not have a check mark are the options which are not visible in the quick access toolbar, and you can enable them by clicking over there, and you can disable the existing options by clicking on the name of that particular option. Then in the center over here you get the application name, that is Autodesk AutoCAD 2026, and the name of the currently open file introduction.dwg. Then over here you get a search box and here you can type any command and AutoCAD will give you a help for that particular command. Next to it, where you see this head and shoulder icon, this is called as a sign in option. So AutoCAD is now a subscription based application. So in order to use the software, you have to sign in by clicking on this option over here. You can buy some additional components by clicking on the Autodesk App Store, and you can stay connected with the Autodesk online community by clicking over here. Then over here you get access to the generic help of AutoCAD. Then these are the default buttons: minimum, minimize, maximize, and close. Then in the bottom left corner you get 3 tabs. The first tab takes you into the model space, and this is where we'll do our drafting. The second tab takes you to layout 1. The third tab takes you to layout 2. We will be working in the model workspace, so ensure that the model workspace is turned on. Then over here, this is the command interface of AutoCAD, and this is where you will type any command which you want to invoke in AutoCAD, like line, circle, polygon, etc. Then this area in the bottom is called as the status bar, and this is where you will get options for enabling or disabling the object snap, enabling or disabling the ortho mode, and the various other features of AutoCAD. Hence, this is called as the options area. This central area which you see where you have this grid like box is your drawing board, and this is where we will do our exact drawing. Then over here you get an option to go back to the start menu, to go back to your currently open file, or you can create a new file by clicking on this plus icon over here. Now the options which you see over here, these are the options which are used when you are using the 3D interface of AutoCAD. So right now we are working in the 2D aspect of AutoCAD, so we will not bother about these icons at the moment. Then this is called as the ribbon area. So ribbon area is where all the commands of AutoCAD are hidden. So on the top you have these tabs. So tabs like home, solid, surface, mesh, visualize, parametric, insert, annotate, view, manage, output, add-ins, collaborate, express tools, and featured apps. Now in each of these tabs you will see further panels. Example, in the home tab you have the modeling panel, the mesh panel, the solid editing panel, the draw panel, the modify panel, and so on. If you go into the solid tab, you will have the primitive panel, solid panel, boolean panel. If you click on the surface tab, you have the create panel, edit panel, control vertices, and so on. So this is the main ribbon interface of AutoCAD where all the commands of AutoCAD are present. Well, this was just a small taste of the AutoCAD interface of AutoCAD 2026. With this, we end this lecture. See you in the next lecture. Goodbye. Hi friends. In this video tutorial, we will do an in-depth study of the application menu and the quick access toolbar of AutoCAD 2026. But before we start with the training, I would urge you to open the file interface.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let's begin with the training. So the first thing is, where is application menu? So if you look in the top left corner of the screen, you will see a red rectangular block with a white A written inside it. And that is your application menu box. Next to that, you will see a flyout with a down pointing arrow. If you click on that, the flyout will open and the application menu of AutoCAD opens up. Now let us try to see each of the options in detail. The first thing which you get over here is a list of your recently opened files, and then next to it you get an option to open any file present in your computer. The default is list of recently opened documents. Now here you get the option to see them ordered by list or ordered by date or ordered by size or ordered by type. So I will keep it to the default, that is ordered by list. Then next to it you have another drop down where you get the option of small icons or large icons or small images or large images, wherein you get to see the preview of the files before you open them. Let me keep it to the default, that is small icons. Then on the top you get the option to search for any commands which you can type over here and then click on the search option. Then here you get the option to create a new drawing. So you can create a new drawing with a selected template, or you can create a sheet set which stores the important additional information of your drawing, like the layout, the file paths, and the project data. Then you get the option to open an existing drawing, or to open a drawing from AutoCAD web and mobile, or to open a sheet set data, or to import the data from a DGN file into a new DWG file, or to open sample files which AutoCAD has provided to you. Then you get the option to save the file, or to save the file with a different name. So save it as a drawing, save it as AutoCAD web and mobile, save it as a template, save it with drawing standards, save it to some other different formats, or convert the drawing into an older version of AutoCAD. So right now we are working in AutoCAD 2026. If we want to open the same file in an older version of AutoCAD, then we have to use this option of DWG convert and select the version of AutoCAD in which we would like to open it and save it in that old format. Then you get the option to import a PDF file, import a DGN file, or to import any other file formats. Then you get the option to export the existing drawing in a DWF format, in a DWFX format, in a 3D DWF format, in a PDF format, in a DGN format, or any other format. Then you get the option to publish the existing drawing and send it to a 3D print service, wherein whatever is your image which you have drawn can be printed in a 3D format, or you can archive the current file, or you can e-transmit the drawing, or you can email the current drawing, or you can share different views of your drawing online, or you can share your entire drawing online. Then you get the option to print, and there you can plot the existing drawing or batch plot and print a series of drawings one after the other, or just take a preview of the drawing, or take a preview, plot, and then publish. Adjust the page setup. If you have a 3D printer, you can use this option. If you have a plotter, you can use this option. Styles of the plotter can be modified over here. Plot styles can be edited over here. Finally, you have drawing utilities, wherein you can study the drawing properties, compare two drawing files, change the units of measurement, audit your existing drawing, see the status of your existing drawing, purge any unused definitions or blocks or layers, and recover means repair a damaged file. Then you get the option to close the current drawing, or to close all the currently open drawings. Finally, over here at the end, you get options. If you click on options, then a dialog box will open and give you options to make changes in the settings of AutoCAD. So you can make changes in the graphics performance, plotting options, hidden messages, user preferences, drafting, modeling, etc. So I will not make changes in this at the moment. I will just click on OK and come out of it. So that was all about the application menu. And lastly, if you click over here, you get the option to exit AutoCAD 2026. Now, next to the application menu, you have the quick access toolbar. This is the quick access toolbar, and in that you get the options to create a blank drawing, to open an existing drawing, to save the current drawing, to save the current drawing with a different name, to open a drawing from the web and mobile version of AutoCAD, to save the current drawing in the web and mobile version of AutoCAD, to plot the existing drawing. Then you get the two popular options, undo and redo. And right next to it, you get the option of a drop down. And if you click on that, you get the option to customize the quick access toolbar. So the options which have a check mark next to that are the options which are currently visible in the quick access toolbar, and the options which do not have a check mark are the options which are not shown. Example, if I click on layer, you will see now the layer menu gets added in the quick access toolbar, and I can change to any layer from here. If I no longer need any option in the quick access toolbar, I'll again click over here and I will uncheck that option. Finally, you get the option to share the existing drawing so that others can view your drawing. So friends, in this we did an in-depth coverage and understanding of what is the AutoCAD application menu and the quick access toolbar of AutoCAD. So we'll see you again in the next lecture. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends, in today's video tutorial, we'll spend time in understanding working with ribbons and panels in AutoCAD 2026. But first, I would urge you to open the file interface.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let us begin with the training. The upper area of the screen is called as the ribbon area of AutoCAD 2026. The ribbon area is divided into tabs. So here you can see the Home tab, the Insert tab, Annotate tab, Parametric tab, View tab, Manage tab, Output tab, Add-ins tab, Collaborate tab, Express Tools tab, and Featured apps. Now, each of these tabs in turn would be having several panels inside it. Example, the Home tab has the Draw panel, Modify panel, Annotation panel, Layers panel, Block panel, Properties, Groups, Utilities, Clipboard, and View. In the same way, the Insert tab has block panels, block definition, reference, import, data, linking and extraction, and location. So each tab will have several panels inside it. Let us move back to the Home tab. Now, take for example, I would like to draw something like a circle or a square or a polygon, then I'll be using the Draw panel. And if you see the different commands which are available in the panel, next to the certain commands, you'll have a flyout. Example, next to circle, you have a flyout. If I click on that, I'll get several other options for circle. Next to arc also, I have a flyout. So if I click on that flyout, I'll get several other options for arc also. And also you would notice that each of these panels also have a flyout. So if I click on this flyout, I will get further more options in that panel. And if I'm going to use this panel frequently, it is a good idea to pin it. So then this panel will remain open all the time. I can draw, come back, I can select another tool, draw, come back, and so on. When I no longer need this panel, I'll unpin it and the panel will get closed automatically. So this way, if I want to modify, I'll click on the flyout next to modify. If I'm going to use it frequently, I'll pin it. If I am not using it, I'll unpin it. So like this, each tab will be further divided into panels, and some of the panels would be having further flyouts inside them. One more thing I would like to clear right at the onset is the small white icon which you see over here. Now, in this white icon, if you happen to accidentally click on it, then you will see how the panels get changed. Again, if I click on it, you would notice the panels get further changed. And at times, we do not understand how to get back these panels. So remember this icon, and there's a flyout next to it. In that, you get the option minimize to tabs, you get the option minimize to panel titles, minimize to panel buttons, and you get cycle through all. Then when you click on this, you can go on clicking till you get your all the panels back again on the screen. So don't forget this important panel collapse and expand feature, because if you happen to accidentally click on it, your panels might disappear. So this is all about the ribbon panels of AutoCAD 2026. We'll see you again in the next lecture. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends. In today's video tutorial, we would study everything about dialog boxes and palettes in AutoCAD 2026. But first I would urge you to open the file interface.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let's begin with the training. So first we'll try to explore what we mean by dialog boxes. So right now you can see I've clicked the home tab, and in the home tab I click on the flyout where it is written annotation. Now when you click on this flyout, you will notice further options. So I will just pin it for a moment so that this flyout doesn't close, and you will see further options like the text style box, the dimension style, the multi-leader style, and the table style. Now, for the moment, I'm going to click on this letter A with a paintbrush, which is called as the text style. So when I click on it, it will open the dialog box for text style. Now you might already be familiar with dialog boxes if you have been working with Windows. A dialog box can be identified by a small title bar wherein you see the name of the dialog box over here. You will also see check boxes and some buttons at the bottom. This is an indication that this is a dialog box. If you bring the mouse cursor on the corner, then you can resize the dialog box this way. But it cannot be made smaller than its default size. So this is the smallest size of this dialog box. If I try to make it still smaller, it is not possible. But if I want to make it bigger, yes, I can make it bigger horizontally or vertically. But when I go to make it smaller, it will go only to a default smaller size. So people familiar with Windows already know how a dialog box looks like. Now I'll click on cancel without making any changes over here, and I'll also unpin the annotation so that the flyout closes and goes back to its default position. Now we will see what we mean by palettes. Again, I'm in the Home tab in the Layers panel, and this time I'm clicking on Layer Properties. So when you click on Layer Properties, what opens before you is a palette. This is a palette, and you can move the palette anywhere on the screen like this, how I have moved it, or you can even size it up by bringing the mouse cursor on its edges, and then you can size it and make it smaller or bigger this way. You can also size individual columns this way and make it smaller or bigger. And then on the left side, you will see that there's a auto hide button. If I click on that, you will see that the palette gets hidden. And when I bring the mouse on this title bar, it gets open automatically. This is called as auto hide feature. If I want that it should remain open all the time, I'll again click over here, and now the auto hide feature is disabled, and now it will always remain open. Then you also get this option over here, properties, or you can call it as the settings. And in the settings, I can move size, close, or allow docking. Allow docking means if I move the palette to the left, you will see that it gets docked on the left side. Same way, if I move the palette on the top or on the right or at the bottom, it can be docked at that particular location of your choice. So that changes you can specify over here. You also get the option to anchor left like how I have done, or you can also anchor right like this. Then you get an option to specify the transparency. So here right now it is solid, means it's almost opaque. But if I reduce this, you can see it starts becoming transparent. However, I would prefer keeping it as solid, and then I will click on OK. And it's always better to have the palette open and the auto hide feature disabled so that you can understand it in a proper manner. And this option over here, wherein you get the option to anchor right or left, is better you anchor it to the left. And this is how your palette should look like. You will have the name of the palette over here. You have the three buttons: close, auto hide, and properties. And the contents of the palette would be visible over here. You also get the options to refresh the palette. You also get one more option to toggle the override highlight, and you also get the option for the settings. So you can click over here and this will call the settings feature for that particular palette. Right now, I will not enable or disable any feature. I'll just click on cancel and close the palette. So friends, hope you have understood the difference between dialog boxes and palettes in AutoCAD 2026, because we'll be using them frequently in our future lectures. See you again in the next video. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends. In today's video tutorial, we would study everything about the status bar in AutoCAD 2026. But before we start with the training, I would urge you to open the file interface.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let's begin with the training. So the status bar is the one which you will see in the lower right corner of the screen. It gives you options to make changes in the settings of various options which you require while you're drafting in AutoCAD 2026. For example, if you see I have a crosshair cursor moving across the screen. Now if I want to draw the line, so I'll have to type a command called as line. So the moment I type L, you will see the dynamic input mode kicks in and it gives me the option to select all those commands which begin with the letter L. So I can scroll in this list until I come to my command which I need, that is line. So this is called as the dynamic input mode and it can be enabled or disabled from the status bar. So let me show you how to enable or disable the dynamic input mode in AutoCAD. So I'll first press escape to come out of the command, and now in the extreme right end of the status bar you get this customization option. So I can click over here and here you will get the dynamic input mode. So I'll turn that on and here I'll again click on this customization to close that, and this is the dynamic input mode. You can turn it off by clicking over here, and when it grays out it means the dynamic input mode is off. So if you type L, now nothing will happen on the screen. You can see you don't get a dynamic input mode. It just shows you a history of your previous commands which you had typed which began with letter L. So if you want the dynamic input mode to be turned on, just click over here till that icon becomes blue, and now the dynamic input is on. So if I type L, the dynamic input mode kicks in and I can select any command which begins with L. Now in the dynamic input mode, you also get options like to turn the object snapping on or off, to turn the polar tracking on or off, etc. All these options can be enabled or disabled by clicking on this customization option. So what we'll do, we'll turn the dynamic input on. Those options which are on, you'll see a check mark next to it, and those options which do not have a check mark are currently disabled. So if I want the units option, I'll click over here and now you see a check mark. Again, I'll turn customization off and this is the units mode. So I can change the units to architectural, decimal, engineering, fractional or scientific. Let me keep it to architectural. So this way you can click on the customization menu and enable or disable all the options which you require for drafting in AutoCAD. So with this, we end our tutorial on understanding how to use the status bar in AutoCAD. See you again in the next video. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends. In today's video tutorial, we would study how to use the zoom and pan command of AutoCAD. But before we start with the training, I would urge you to open the file geometry.dwg which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let's begin with the training. In order to draw complex images in AutoCAD, you should first know how to navigate in AutoCAD. And that is why we are first starting with the zoom command. So here you can see the layout of a house, and in the center you can see a dining table. So if I would like to zoom into this dining table, then I'll first bring my mouse cursor to the center of the drawing table, and then I will just move the middle mouse button up once so it zooms in, again up twice, again up thrice. So every time I move the middle mouse button up, it zooms in, and every time I move it down, you can see that it zooms out. So the middle mouse button, when you slide it up, is for zoom in, and when you slide it down, scroll it down, it is for zoom out. Then the next is, what if I want to pan the drawing to the left or the right? In that case, you keep the middle mouse button pressed and you will see that the mouse button changes to a hand, and then you can pan it to the left or to the right. And when you release, it becomes a crosshair cursor. Let's see again. I'll zoom in a couple of notches and then I'll keep the middle mouse button pressed, and then I will pan the image to the right or I will pan the image to the left, and when I am satisfied, I'll just release the mouse button. Now if I want to zoom to the entire extent of the image, I can just double click the mouse button and it will zoom it to the extent of the image. You can also do the same by using this navigation bar in the right side. So if you see in the navigation bar over here, you can see a X mark with a magnifier, and that is for zoom extents. So if I click on it like this, it is zoom extents, and below the magnifier you will see there is a flyout. So if I click on the flyout, you can see you get the option zoom window, zoom previous, zoom real time, zoom all, zoom dynamic, zoom scale, zoom center, zoom object, zoom in, and zoom out. So I would urge you to try out all these options of zoom which are present in the navigation panel in the right side. Else the simplest one is bring the mouse pointer to the area where you want to zoom and just scroll the middle mouse button up or down to bring it to the magnification of your choice. You can alternately do the same by pressing the right mouse button, and in the right mouse button you get the zoom option. So when you keep the left mouse button pressed, you can zoom in, and when you keep the left mouse button pressed and scroll it down, you can zoom out. When you release the mouse button, it just acts like a magnifier. To come out of this, just right click and select exit. If I would like to pan the drawing using the shortcut menu, I can click anywhere in my drawing and then I'll press the right mouse button and I'll select pan. Then I keep the left mouse button pressed and I can pan to the left, pan to the right, pan bottom, pan top, etc. And then to come pan mode, I just right click and exit. And when I get my crosshair cursor, means I'm back to the default working mode of AutoCAD. So remember, the middle mouse button when you scroll up is zoom in, when you scroll down is zoom out. If you keep the middle button pressed, it works like a pan left, pan right, pan up, pan down. If you double click the middle mouse button, it's like zoom extends. And right clicking will always invoke the shortcut menu, and in the shortcut menu you can select either pan or zoom depending on what you would like to do. Also, the alternative options are present in the navigation bar, and you can navigate from here and you can zoom in or out, or you can even pan using the pan from the navigation bar. And again, to come out, just right click and select exit, and you are back to the normal default working mode of AutoCAD. So with this, we end this video lecture. We'll see you again in the next video. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends, in today's video tutorial, we would study everything about Object Snap and Auto Snap feature of AutoCAD 2026. Remember, we have been provided these two features for creating accuracy in our drafting. So before we start with the training, I would urge you to open the file newhouse.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let us begin with the training. First, ensure that you are in the Model tab. So in the lower left corner, the Model tab should be highlighted. Second, in the Home tab in the Layers panel, ensure that you are in the Furniture layer. And lastly, in the status bar in the lower right corner, ensure that the Object Snap icon is blue in color. That means that the Object Snap is on. So remember that the shortcut for turning this on is F3, or you can just click on it to disable it and click on it again to enable it. Next to Object Snap, there's a flyout. Click on that flyout and ensure that there is a check mark next to endpoint, midpoint, center, intersection, and extension. Again, click anywhere on the Object Snap to close that flyout. Next to the Object Snap flyout, you have Object Snap tracking. Ensure that that is also on, and keep in mind that the shortcut for this is F11. Finally, on the left side, you ensure that the polar tracking is on, and there's a flyout next to polar tracking. Click on that and ensure that there's a check mark next to 90, 180, 270 and 360. Again, click on polar tracking to close that flyout. Now here you can see that we are seeing the layout of a house. And in this particular room is supposed to be a dining room. And we want to create a rectangular dining table. And the dimensions for the table are 8 feet by 4 feet 6 inches. So let me show you how to create a rectangular dining table. And this we are going to do utilizing all these features like Object Snap tracking, polar tracking, etc. So in order to draw a rectangular dining table in this dining room, we have to click on the Home tab in the Draw panel, and over here you have a rectangle. So click on Rectangle. Now AutoCAD is asking me specify the first corner point. So click anywhere on the drawing board. And now it is asking me for the length of the drawing board of the dining table. So the length of the dining table is 8 feet. So I type 8 and the feet symbol. I press tab, and the width of the dining table I give it as 4 feet and 6 inches and hit enter, and my dining table is ready. If I want to move it a bit to the right, AutoCAD provides you a command called as move. So I can select move, click on the object, press enter. It asks me to specify the base point. I click over here and then move it a bit to the right and click over here. So it's in the approximate center of the room. So we have created a dining table which is of 8 feet by 4 feet 6 inches. Now let's assume that I want to create a arc over here as well as over here. So again we'll click on the home tab in the draw panel, click on the flyout where it is written arc and select start, center and end. So we specify the start point. See, you can see that green rectangle, and that is indicating that our cursor gets magnetically snapped to the correct endpoint. So we are in the middle of the arc command. This is the start point. Now I bring over here and you can see again it gets magnetically snapped to the midpoint. So I click over here as the center point, and again I click over here. See over here that the arc gets drawn always in the anti-clockwise direction. So I click over here and my circular arc is ready. Same way I want to create an arc over here. Again in the home tab, draw panel, arc flyout, start, center and end. So this is the start point, this is the center point, this is the end point, and my circular arc is ready. Finally, in the center, I want to make a circle 1.75 feet. So in order to draw that circle exactly in the center, we'll click on the home tab, draw panel, circle and select center radius. Now to get the center of this geometry, bring the mouse cursor over here. You can see it gets magnetically snapped to the midpoint. Do not click over there, just drag the mouse down. So this is called as object snap tracking, and then go to the right. It snaps to the midpoint and then come to the center. When it comes to the midpoint, you get a snap over there. Click over there and give the radius as 1.75 feet and hit enter, and our circle is ready. So friends, in this video tutorial we have seen how to make this dining table for our house, and while creating this dining table we have seen how to use the object snap feature, how to use the auto snap feature, and we have studied few commands also on the way like rectangle, circle and arc. With this we end this video tutorial and we'll see you again in the next video. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends, in today's video tutorial we would study how to use polar tracking and ortho feature of AutoCAD for accurate drafting in AutoCAD 2026. But before we start with the training, I would urge you to open the file newhouse.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let us begin with the training. I will first double-click the middle mouse button so that I can see my entire drawing, and then I will scroll up the middle mouse button to zoom to this middle area. Now let's assume I want to draw two square tables of 4 feet by 4 feet in this area. So first we will create the square table using the polar tracking feature of AutoCAD 2026. So if you go in the status bar over here, you can see the polar tracking feature, and currently it is off. So let us turn it on by clicking on it. When it is blue in color, that means the polar tracking feature is now on. And next to the polar tracking, you can see there is a flyout. If I click on that, you can see the currently selected mode is 90, 180, 270 and 360. I will click on polar tracking again to close this flyout. Now let us begin drawing the square table of 4 feet by 4 feet, and remember our polar tracking is on. So I select line from here and I click anywhere in this area. Now you will see that when my cursor is at 0 degrees, you'll see a green tracking line. When it is at 90 degrees, a green tracking line. When it is at 180 degrees, a green tracking line. When it is at 270 degrees, a green tracking line. So this tracking line comes because of the polar tracking feature which we have enabled in the status bar. So let us bring the green tracking line to 90-degree angle and let us give the first increment of 4 feet and hit enter. So I got a line of 4 feet. Then I'll go to the right when I get a 0-degree angle. Again I'll type 4 feet and hit enter. Then bottom till I get another 90 degrees. Again 4 feet and hit enter. Then either I can go to the left and when I get the tracking I'll type 450, 4 feet, or I can right click and when I get the shortcut menu from there I'll select close and my square table of 4 feet by 4 feet is now ready. Now let us create another square table of 4 feet by 4 feet, but this time using the ortho feature of AutoCAD. So again we come to the status bar and just next to polar tracking you have the ortho mode, and currently it is off. You can see because the button is gray. So I will turn it on by clicking on it. Notice that when you turn the ortho mode on, the polar tracking gets turned off. So you can either turn the ortho mode on or the polar tracking on. So this time I've turned the ortho mode on. Again I click on the home tab and select the line tool and click anywhere in my drawing board as the first point of the line, and notice that now my line can move only in increments of 90 degrees. I won't be able to draw any angular lines, and this is because I have turned the ortho mode on. So I point upwards and select 4 feet, hit enter. Then to the right I type 4 feet, hit enter. Then point bottom 4 feet, hit enter. And then as I showed you in the earlier example, I can right click and select close, and my second table of 4 feet by 4 feet is now ready. So you can draw a square table either using the polar tracking feature or using the ortho feature of AutoCAD. Now notice that when you click on polar tracking and when you click on the flyout, there's also an option for tracking settings. This is because if you want any angles other than what I mentioned over here, you can click on tracking settings and over here you can type additional new angles. Now we do not want to give any additional angles, so I will select cancel. So friends, in this video tutorial, we have seen how to do accurate drafting in AutoCAD using the polar tracking and the ortho feature of AutoCAD. Hope you have learned something new. We'll see you again in the next video. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends, in today's video tutorial, we would study how to draw lines, arcs and circles in AutoCAD 2026. But I would first urge you that open the file lac.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let us begin with this training. So what we are planning to do is we are planning to create the same table in the right side, but this time using line, arcs and circle commands of AutoCAD. So let me show you how we can do that. We'll first begin by drawing one line from here to here, and the distance would be 8 feet. So in order to do that, I click on the Home tab and select the line tool. Then I click anywhere on my drawing, and then I just drag my mouse to the right side and enter the dimension as 8 feet and hit enter. Now you can see the line command is still continuing. So I would like to end the line command, so I'll press enter. So now we have drawn a line of 8 feet. Now I want to draw this circle, okay, or this arc. And you can see the diameter of the arc is 4 feet 6 inches. So what we'll do, we'll click on the Home tab, click on circle, and this time we'll select 2-point circle. So we specify this as the first point, and we go down and we specify the distance as 4 feet 6 inches and hit enter. So we get a circle of 4 feet 6 inches diameter. Next, I want to draw one line which is quadrantial to this circle and extending to the left 8 feet distances. So when I bring the mouse cursor over here, you will see it magnetically snaps to the quadrantial point of the circle. So I click over there and then I move to the left side and give the distance as 8 feet and hit enter. So again the line command is still continuing. I'll press enter to end the line command. Again I will draw a 2-point circle over here. So again I click on circle and select 2-point, specify this as the first point, specify this as the second point, and my 2-point circle is ready. Now I want to trim these inner edges of the circle. So in the Home tab, in the Modify panel, over here you get the scissor icon, which is also called as trim. So I click over there and I click on this circle to trim the edges, and now we get a proper table. Now in order to come out of the trim command, just press escape. Now I want to draw a circle of 4 feet 6 inches diameter. So I will select circle and I'll select center diameter. Now in order to get the center point of this circle, I'll use the tracking technique. So I bring the mouse on the top. You can see it magnetically snaps to the midpoint. Do not click over there, just drag the mouse down. Come to the right side, and when you come on the border of the circle, you can see it gives you a midpoint. So from that midpoint, move to the left, and when it comes to the intersection, you will get a X mark, and that is the exact union of the line and the circle. So I'll click over here to use this as the center point of the circle, and for the diameter I'll give the distance as 4 feet and 6 inches and hit enter, and I get a perfect circle. So now my table is ready. So friends, in this video we have seen how to use the line command, the circle command, the trim command of AutoCAD, and also we have seen how to draw the circle using the snapping technique of AutoCAD 2026. With this, we end this lecture, and we'll see you again in the next video. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends. In this video tutorial, we would study how to draw this same table again, but this time using the polygon, polylines, and the spline commands of AutoCAD. So before we proceed with the drafting, I would urge you to open the file lac.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let us begin with the training. So we'll first begin by drawing this line of 8 feet distance. Now this time, instead of using the line command, we'll click on the Home tab in the Draw panel and select Polyline. Now I would click anywhere on my drawing board. I'll turn the ortho on and give the distance as 8 feet and hit enter. Now you can see the Polyline command is still not ended. So what we'll do is we'll right click over here and this time we'll select arc. Now we'll move the arc down and we'll give the distance as 4 feet and 6 inches. Now the Polyline command still continues and asks me if I want to draw any further arcs, but no, I want to draw a line. So I'll right click over here and select line and move to the left side and give the distance as 8 feet and hit enter. The Polyline command is still assuming that you want to draw one more line, but this time I want to draw arc. So I'll right click over here and select arc and then I'll click over here. It snaps to the end of it and the outer border of my circle is ready, but the Polyline command is still on. To come out of the Polyline command, just press enter and the Polyline command is now complete. So we have one table ready, but this is a Polyline table and you can come to know when you click on it. You'll see it will treat it as one complete object. But this table, you can see the arc is separate, the circle is separate, the line is separate, and so on. So a polyline is an object which is made up of multiple vertices and it will treat it as one entity. Now we want to draw a circle in the center of 4 feet 6 inches diameter. So I'll click on circle and I'll select center diameter. To get the center point of this polygon, I bring the mouse pointer on the top, move it down, and then from here I move to the center. I click over here and when it asks me for the diameter, I type 4 feet and 6 inches and hit enter and I get a perfect circle in the center. Now I want to draw a polygon which touches the inner borders of the circle. The polygon which I want to draw should be a 6-sided polygon, also called as the hexagon. So in order to draw it, you have to click on the Home tab in the Draw panel and here you will see a flyout. When you click on the flyout, you will get two options, rectangle and polygon. So we select polygon. AutoCAD asks me how many sides you want. I want a 6-sided polygon. Where is the center of the polygon? I bring the mouse anywhere on the circumference of the circle and I get the center point. I click over there and then it asks me inscribed or circumscribed. Inscribed means touching the inner periphery of the circle and circumscribed means touching the outer periphery. So I select inscribe and then it asks me the radius of the circle. So I can just click on the top edge and I get a perfectly inscribed polygon. Now if I don't want the circle, I'll just click on the circle and press delete and you can now see only the polygon in the center of the circle. Now let us pan the drawing a bit to the right. So I pan the drawing a bit to the right and what I want to do is I want to create a kind of a small screen area for this section of our plan. So this time we'll use the spline command of AutoCAD. So I click on the home tab. In the draw panel, I click on this flyout, and from here I select spline. Now it asks me where is the first point. So suppose my first point is here. I'll turn the ortho off. Second point is here. Third is here. Fourth is here. Fifth is here. And finally, I click over here to end the spline command and then press enter, and my spline is over. Now this is a wall, so I want that the wall should be the same thickness as this neighboring wall. So what I will do is I'll click on the home tab. In the utilities panel, you have measure. So when I bring my mouse over here on the center of the wall, you can see it tells me that the wall is of 6 inches thickness. So I'll press escape, and I want to create this line of 6 inches thickness. But before that, I want this line should touch this particular border. Alright, so for doing that, I'll use the extend command of AutoCAD and hit enter. Click on the boundary edge. This is the boundary edge, and click on the object to extend. So the object gets extended up to here. Now I want to give a thickness. So I type offset and I hit enter. I give the offset distance as 6 inches, hit enter. Select the object to offset and the side to offset. Again I hit enter. Then I draw one line from end of this to end of this. And I again use the extend command. Hit enter. Click on the boundary edge. And then click on the object to extend. And my zigzag screening area is ready. So friends, in this video tutorial, we have seen how to draw the table, how to draw a polygon, and how to create a screening area using the spline command of AutoCAD. With this, we end this video tutorial. We'll see you again in the next video. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends, in today's video tutorial, we would study how to work with text styles in AutoCAD 2026. But before we start with the training, I would urge you to open the file www.ts.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let us begin with the training. First, ensure that you are in the Model tab of AutoCAD. That is, the Model tab should be highlighted. Second, in the Layers tab, ensure that EXTDIM is shown as the current layer. If it is not shown as the current layer, then click on Layer Properties, and in the Layer Properties, select ext.dim and click over here, that is, set it as the current layer. So EXTDIM should be shown as the current layer with a check mark next to it. Then close the Layer Properties dialog box. Now you are ready to create the text styles. In order to create the text styles, I will show you 3 techniques. The first technique is clicking on the Home tab, clicking on the flyout where it is written Annotation, and clicking on this A with the paintbrush icon, and this will invoke the text style dialog box. Let me show you another technique of opening the text style. So I'll cancel this. This time I'll click on the Annotate tab and click on the right pointing arrow next to the text. So this will open the same text style dialog box. And finally, let me show you a third way of opening the text style dialog box is by clicking in the command line and typing style and hitting enter. This will also invoke the text style. So I'll now click on cancel, And I'll select the most preferred way, that is clicking on home, clicking on the flyout for annotation, and clicking on the A text with the paintbrush icon. This calls the text style dialog box. Now here you can see that there are some predefined styles. So you have annotative style, Arial style, standard style, and the style to style. Now in addition to these styles, you can create a new style. To create a new style, click on the new button. Now it will ask you a name for the new style. So let us give it the name like dim underscore model. You can give any name for the text style. Now you can see that new style is created. Next thing which you can do is you can decide for a font for that particular style. So I click on the drop down where it is written Arial and I press C for Calibri and select the Calibri font. Then you can select the style. You want bold, italic or regular. So I'll select regular. Then in the size, whether you want annotative. So I do not want annotative, so do not click over here. Height, I do not want to specify the height, so I will not make changes here. And then if you want the text upside down, you can click here. If you want it backwards, you can click here. So I do not want to adjust any of these. Width factor, let it remain 1. Oblique angle, let it be 0. Now once this style is created, click on apply. So all these changes which you have made get applied to the currently selected style. Let us create one more new style. So I will again click on new and will give the style the name like labels underscore model. You can give any name to the style and click on OK. So that style is selected. You can select the font. I would prefer the Calibri font. The style, if I want, I can make it bold. The height, if I want to change it, I can make it 3 inches. Rest, I will keep it as it is. And then I will select apply. And I want to make this as the current style. So I will select set current. So labels model now becomes the current style. Then I'll select close. Now we are in the home tab. And if you click on the annotation flyout, you can see the labels model is the currently selected style. So if I use the text command and I draw any text over here, that text will pick up all the styles which have been given in labels underscore model style. You can select a different style by clicking on this drop down over here and you can see all your styles, dim, model, Arial, annotative, and you can pick up any style. The currently selected style is always shown over here. So before you start typing any text, it is always better that you create a new style, come back to the home tab, click on the flyout for annotation and see what is your current style. Also be careful about in which layer you are present, and once you are sure about the correct layer, the correct style, then you can begin typing the text, which we will see in the next video. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends, in today's video tutorial, we would study how to use single line text and multi-line text in AutoCAD 2026. But before we start with the training, I would urge you to open the file slml.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let us begin with the training. So here you can see the layout of a house and there is some text written over here. This is called as a single line text and this is called as a multi-line text. So today we'll be studying how to create the single line text and multi-line text in AutoCAD 2026. So first step is ensure that you are in the model tab. Second, ensure that you are in the layer whose name is Sam's text. So click over here and ensure that you are in the layer whose name is Sam's text. And finally, in the annotation tab, click on this paintbrush and ensure that labels dash model dash 5" is set as the current layer. Then click on close. So when you click on annotation, it should show you the label name over here. Now, I would like you to pan a bit to the right. So you can press the middle mouse button and pan the image a bit to the right. So I want to write this kitchen text in this area over here. So in order to do that, we will click on the home tab and in the annotation panel, here you have a text flyout. If you click on this flyout, you will get the option of multi-line text and single line text. So I will select single line text. So AutoCAD will ask you to specify the start point. I click over here and then it asks me for the rotation angle. So I'll keep it 0 by pressing enter. Now it is asking me to type the text. So I will type the text as kitchen. Once I have finished typing the text, I will press enter and again press enter to end the text command. If I want to move this text somewhere in the center, click anywhere on the text tool and you'll see this blue handle. Click on the handle and then you can move it to whichever location you want. Now an assignment for you. Just like how I have entered kitchen, in the same way you have to type dining room in this dining room, guest bedroom for guest bedroom and master bedroom for master bedroom. Now I will teach you how to write multi-line text. So I want to write down common washroom guest in this area over here. So again, I'll click on the home tab in the annotation panel, text flyout, and this time I select multi-line text. Now I'll click over here and in a multi-line text, I have to specify with a rectangle the area in which I want to type. So I click in the lower right rectangle over here and now I type over here common washroom for guest. Once I finish typing, I'll click on close the text editor. Now assignment for you, just like I have typed common washroom guest, you have to type master washroom in this particular area. So friends, in this video tutorial, we have seen how to type single line text and multi-line text in AutoCAD 2026. See you again in the next lecture. Goodbye. Hi friends. In today's video tutorial, we would study how to create effective dimension styles in AutoCAD 2026. But before we start with the training, I would urge you to open the file eds.dwg which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let us begin with the training. In order to create a effective dimension style, there are 3 techniques of opening the dimension style dialog box. The first technique is clicking on the home tab, then clicking in the flyout where it is written annotation, and from the flyout clicking on this paintbrush and dimension style icon. This will invoke the dimension style manager. Now there is another technique also for invoking the dimension style manager. I'll just close this. And the second technique is clicking on the annotate tab and then clicking on the right pointing arrow where it is written dimensions, and this will also open the dimension style manager. Now there is also a third technique to opening the dimension style manager. So I will close this, and in the command line I will type dim style and I will hit enter, and this will also invoke the dimension style manager. So there are three ways of invoking the dimension style manager. I'll close this and I'll select the most preferred one. The most preferred one is clicking on the home tab, annotation panel, and selecting dimension style. Now here you can see that there is one dimension style already predefined called as L AutoCAD, and next to it you can see a A-like symbol. This indicates that this is a annotative dimension style. Now I want to create a dimension style which is based on L AutoCAD. So I will click on new and I will give the new style the name as training dash anno. It will be based on the L AutoCAD style. It will be annotative. It will be applying to all dimensions. So I will now click on continue, and you will see that one new dimension style gets created called as training ammo. I'll just click on OK, and you can see that new training style over here. If I want to edit this training style, I'll click on it and then I'll select modify to modify this training style. So first there are two things which you have to note. In the tolerances tab, the method should be none. This is the first thing which you have to ensure. Second, in the alternate units, display alternate units should be unchecked. Why? Because if it is check marked, then it will show you two units of measurement. You can see the feet and inches and also the decimal system. So we do not want this. So this should be unchecked, and tolerances should also be none. Now let us see all other options in the dimension style. We'll start with lines. So the color for the lines, let it be by layer. Line type, let it be by layer. Line weight, let it be by layer. Baseline spacing, let it be the default. Extension line, now these are the extension lines. Okay, so again color is by layer. Line type for extension line 1 by layer, extension line 2 by layer, and line weight by layer. Now extend beyond the dimension lines. So if you would like them to extend beyond this point, then you can specify the value over here. Offset from origin means from here, if you want that it should not come touching to the object, it should come away, then you can specify this value. So right now we will not change these values. Then comes symbols and arrow. Let the first arrowhead be closed fill. Let the second arrowhead be closed fill. Let the leader be shown by a dot. Let the arrow size be 6 inches. Let the center mark be default. Arc length symbol, preceding the dimension text. Do not make any other changes. Then come on the text style. In the text style, you can see this is based on the DIMS model. And if you click on this three dots next to it, you will see that it has a wonderful font associated with it called as the Calibri. So I will select cancel. Text color is by layer. Fill color is none. Text height is 6 inches. Do not make any changes in the other elements. Then come to fit. Let the fit options be either text or arrows best fit. Let the text placement be besides the dimension line. And scale for dimension features, let it be annotated. Then comes primary units. We will set it to architectural because we want feet and inches. Alternate units, we have turned it off. There is no check mark, and tolerances is also none. Now we can click on OK, and our dimension style is ready and we can use it, and I'll show you how to use this dimension style in the next lecture. With this, we end this training. See you in the next lecture. Goodbye. Hi friends. In today's video tutorial, we would study how to place precise dimensions in AutoCAD 2026. But before we start with the training, I would urge you to open the file ppd.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let us begin with the training. So the first thing which you have to do after opening the drawing is ensure that you are in the Home tab, in the Layers panel, and you are in the ext.dim layer. If you see any other name, then click on this flyout, and from this flyout, ensure that you click on ext.dim. So that is the layer in which we want to do the dimensions. Then ensure that you are in the Model tab of AutoCAD. After you have ensured that you are in the Model tab of AutoCAD, again click on the Home tab in the Annotation panel. Ensure that in the dimension style it shows you L AutoCAD. If it shows you some another dimension style, then click on this drop down, and from this drop down you select L AutoCAD. Click anywhere outside to close the flyout. Now we'll begin with the actual training. In this particular illustration, you can see I've already placed some dimensions. So this wall, I've actually drawn it of the size 11 feet 4 inches. And this wall actually is of 9 feet and 1 inches. So when you draw the drawing as per the actual dimensions, then we call it as a drawing which is scaled at 1:1 scale. So the question is, how will you accommodate such a huge drawing on a small paper? So let me explain to you with the help of an example. Here we are having this drawing which is made at 1:1 scale, and you can confirm that by coming in the status bar, and over here it will show you the scale which the drawing is used. So this drawing has used 1:1 scale. Now we click on the Layout tab. Now in the Layout tab, you'll see that it shows you paper. Paper means this is actually how your drawing would look like when it is plotted on a paper. So here you can see, since the drawing is very huge, the paper is unable to accommodate the entire drawing, and it just shows you a portion of the drawing. So if I want to print the entire drawing in this particular paper, here are some of the changes which we'll have to do. We'll first click on the model tab. We'll go in the status bar, and where it is written as 1:1, we'll click on the flyout and make it to 1:5. You will not notice any changes on the drawing board, except that in the status bar it will change it to 1:5. Now we'll come into the layout, and in the layout we click on this viewport, and where it is written 1:1, we'll change this to 1:5. And now you can see that it has accommodated the whole drawing in that window. So remember, this paper is a small paper of 8.5 by 11 inches, and in order to accommodate the entire drawing, we have scaled it to a scale of 1:5 units. Now let us come back to the model tab. And what I want to do is I want to dimension this table precisely. So in order to do that, we'll first click on the Home tab in the Annotation panel, and here you can see Linear. So if you click on this drop down, you will see that there are many types of dimensions provided by AutoCAD: linear, align, angular, arc, status, diameter, ordinate, and jogged. So for this table, we will use linear dimensioning. Now AutoCAD is asking me specify the first extension line origin. So I'll bring the mouse pointer over here and it snaps to the end of the line. And then in the same way I bring it here, it snaps to the end of this line. And I take it on the top. So here it shows me that this distance is 5 feet and 9 inches. I'll click over here to confirm the dimension. In the same way, I want this dimension. So again, Home tab, Annotation panel, Linear dimensioning. Click over here and click over here, and you get 3 feet and 10 inches. Now let us see whether this new dimension is reflected in our paper. So we click on the Layout tab, and you can see now it has reflected the changes even on our paper, and we can see the precise dimensioning on the paper. So friends, in this video tutorial, we have seen how to scale the drawing, number 1, and how to place precise dimensions in AutoCAD. Now, if you want to know in depth how to scale a drawing, how to change the styles, how to plot the drawing, then I would urge you, after finishing this program, please sign up for an advanced training program again by us, and which is titled as AutoCAD 2026 Essential Training. This program is only giving you the basic foundation for learning AutoCAD 2026. So hope you have understood how to place the precise dimensions in AutoCAD. We'll see you again in the next lecture. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends, in today's video tutorial, we would study how to create a simple title block in AutoCAD 2026. But first I would urge you to open the file cstb.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let us begin with the training. Now you can see at the bottom you are having 3 tabs. First is the Model tab, in which we have done this entire drawing. Now the second and the third tabs are called as the Layout tabs, which shows you a preview of what your document would look like when you print it. So this is exactly how my document would look like when I print it. But it is always better that when you print it, you have some kind of title for the document through which you come to know what is the number of the document, what is the name of the document, who has done the revisions on this drawing, who has done this drawing, when was it last updated, and so on. So this is called as title block. So in order to make the title block, first ensure that you are in the Layout 1 tab. Then ensure that from the layers, the title block layer should be the currently selected layer. Then in the Annotation tab, ensure that in the text style, the title block should be selected. Once you have done this, then come back to your drawing, and here we'll first begin by drawing a rectangle. Before we draw a rectangle, if you notice, there is a small dashed line rectangle already present on your drawing board. Now this is indicating the area in which your document would be printed. So anything which comes within this dashed line would be printed. So if your drawing extends beyond this top or bottom or left or right, it would not be printed. So always ensure that your document comes within this dashed lines margins. Next, we'll go into the Home tab in the Draw panel and select Rectangle. And we'll draw one rectangle like this. So we get a kind of border for our paper. And then the next, we click on the Home tab Annotation panel. And in the text, I select single line. And I click over here. AutoCAD asks me for the rotation angle. I will type 0. And then it asks me for the text. So I will type Office Layout. And hit enter to end the command. You can also click on the text, then click on the handle, and you can move it to a suitable location on your paper. Now when you print this, it will look exactly like this, and this rectangle and this text is called as a title block. So it is always better that don't leave your document in an anonymous fashion, but have a kind of a border and some text description for your drawing. And that is what we mean by creating a simple title block. If you want to know more about how in detail we can create a title block, then sign up for our program AutoCAD 2026 Essential Training. This program is just about learning AutoCAD, and it helps in developing your foundation skills for AutoCAD 2026. With this, we end this lecture, and we'll see you again in the next video. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends, in today's video tutorial, we would study how to scale viewports in AutoCAD 2026. But first I would urge you to open the file svp.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let us begin with the training. So here you can see that we are in the Model tab, and in the Model tab we can see the layout of the house. We also have another tab called as Layout 1. In the Layout 1, you can see how your document would look like while printing. Now this red border is called as a viewport. So in this viewport, you can see the entire layout, and you can also come to know that it is at a particular scale. So when you bring the mouse on it, so it will tell you what is the scale which has been used for this drawing. So if you go into the model tab, you can see that this is at 1:5 scale. Over here it is visible. You can come to layout, you can select this and make this also to 1:5 scale. And this is how your document would look like while printing. Now what I want is I want to make another viewport like this on the side. And in that viewport, I want to show only this drawing dining area. And what I want is that in this viewport, it should show only the external dimensions. And in the new viewport, it should show the dimensions of the dining area. So these dimensions which are visible inside should not be visible in this viewport. So let me show you how you can do that. I'll press escape a couple of times. And in order to create a new viewport, I'll click on the layout tab, and in layout tab, I'll select rectangular. So I want to create a rectangular viewport, and then I can draw one rectangle like this, defining the size of the viewport. Then I can double click on the rectangle and I can zoom to the area which I want to be visible. So I will first come little bit closer. Okay, now I'll double click inside the viewport. Then I'll bring this in the center and zoom this area. So here you can see the dimensions are visible. That is correct. Now I don't want the dimensions to be visible in this viewport. Now here you remember that I'll just click outside. This viewport is at a different scale, 1:5. Whereas this viewport, if you see, when I hover the mouse on the border of this new viewport, you can see it is at a scale of 7:16. So I'll first change this to some proper scale. So I click on this, and from here I select something like 1:2. Okay, so this is at 1:2 scale, and this viewport is at 1:5 scale. Now you can see in the 1:5 scale, the dimensioning is visible, but when you are in the 1:2 scale viewport, that time the dimensioning is not visible. So let me show you how we can correct this situation. We go into the model tab and we zoom into this area. Now when I bring the mouse cursor over here and select this dimension, you can see one A symbol on the top, and that is indicating that this has annotative dimensioning. So current scale you can see is 1:5. We'll change this to 1:2, and then we click on this, right click on it, annotative object, and add current scale. So you can see it gets reduced, and when you bring the mouse here, it shows you two A like signs, means there are two annotative scales. Same way we select this dimension, right click over here, annotative object scale, and add current scale. So again when I bring the mouse here, it shows you two annotative scales. Now to remove the confusion, I'll click on this, then I'll right click on it, annotative object scale, add or delete scales. So you can see there are two scales. So I'll remove the scale from 1:5 and maintain it only in 1:2. And same way over here, I'll right click, annotative object scale, add or delete scales, and remove the 1:5 and maintain only 1:2. So in that viewport in which the scale is 1:2, these dimensions will be visible. But if the scale is different, it will not be visible. Let us check it out in the layout 1. So here you can see in the layout 1, the dimensions are visible. But when you come into this, the dimensions are not visible because this viewport is in a different scale, that is 1:5. And this viewport is in a different scale, 1:2. So those annotative objects are objects which we have created for 1:2 scale. You can see over here. Hence these scales or these dimensions are visible only in this particular viewport. Well, that's exactly what I wanted. In this viewport, I wanted only the external dimensions to be visible, and in this viewport, I wanted only the dimensions for the table and chair to be visible. So this is how you can use annotative scaling effectively while printing your documents in AutoCAD 2026. With this, we end this lecture. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Hi friends. In today's video tutorial, we would study how to define the page setup in AutoCAD 2026. But before we start with the training, I would urge you to open the file dps.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let us begin with the training. So here we are in the model tab, and in the model tab you can see the layout of a house. Now we click on layout 1 tab, and you can see a preview of how your document would look like when you print it on a A4 size paper. So what I want to do is I want to define this page. Maybe I want a different page size. Instead of A4, I want a A1 size. So how do we do all such changes? So in order to define this page which you are seeing over here, you have to right click on layout 1. So right click on this tab layout 1, and from here select page setup manager. There you can see two layouts. One is for the layout 1 tab and second is for the layout 2 tab. And you can also see the dimensions of the page. So layout 1, the dimension is 11 by 8.5 inches landscape style, and layout 2 you can see it is 210 by 297 landscape style. So I'll click on layout 1, and basis this I want to create a new page setup. So I will click on new. Now it will ask me a name for the setup. So I will select A4 page setup. You can give any name of your choice. So I will give it a name as A4 page setup, and I will use the basic features from layout 1. So you can see it is already selected, and I will click on OK. Now the first thing which you have to select is the printer or the plotter. So right now my computer is not connected to a printer or a plotter, so I will print it on a PDF file and later on take it to an external agency for printing. So I'll click on this drop down, and from this drop down I will select AutoCAD PDF high quality print. So here you can see that it has selected a size 11 by 8.5 inches, and this it has selected from here. So if I click on this paper size, I can select any paper size of my choice. So I want the upper one and CA 11 by 8.5 inches. So I select that over here. Now what you want to print? So I want to print extents, means whatever is there on the drawing board. If you select display, then whatever is displayed, that will be printed. If you select extents, then whatever is shown in the extents of the printable size, that would be printed. If you select layout, you can specify the layout. If you select window, you can specify the area which you want to print. Example, if I want to print from year to year only, so only that area. So right now I will select display. So whatever is on the display, that should be printed. Then I select center the plot. So here you can see some red markers. So whenever you see red markers, it means that some of your drawing area is going outside the page margins. So you have to correct it. Let us click on preview. And you can see a part of your drawing is going outside your drawing area. Hence, it is giving you a warning over there. So I will close this and let me show you how you can correct this. So in order to correct it, what to plot, I will select extents. So now if you click on preview, you can see it has accommodated your entire drawing and it's come in the center because we have selected center the plot. Then over here it asks me what plot style you want. So I will select monochrome. So when you select monochrome, your drawing will come in black and white but will be very sharp and crisp. So I selected monochrome. And then quality, how you want, draft, preview, then I select maximum. So the best quality you will get for printing. Okay, then again I close this. Then what to plot? Plot object line weights, plot transparency, plot with plot styles, plot paper space, and whether you want to plot it in the portrait or in the landscape. So everything seems okay. For the last time I will take a preview. So it seems okay. And then here also I will take a look that there should be no red areas around it. And then I will click on OK. And my A4 page setup is ready. So I will select set current. So that settings get applied to my current page. And then I can select close. Now these settings will remain forever. So if I go to any other layout and over here I want to apply that same settings, then I can right click over here, go into page setup, select A4 page setup, select set current, and those settings get applied to layout 2. So right now I am happy with my layout 1. Just here to remember that when you plot this, in order to plot it, you have to right click on it and here you have the plot option. So it will ask you, we notice that you have multiple layouts. Okay, learn about batch plotting or continue to plot a single sheet. I want to plot only a single sheet. So I will select here and I will take a preview. So if everything is okay, I can just click on OK. It will ask me where do you want to save the document. So I will save it in the documents folder. It will give it the name as dps-layout1.pdf and then I'll select save. So it has made the PDF file and it will also open that PDF file and show me a preview of that file over here. This is how my document would look like. Now I can take this file dps-layout1.pdf to external print agency and print this drawing over there on the paper which I had selected, which was A4 size. So friends, in this video tutorial, you have seen how to make a page setup, and how to plot a drawing on the paper size of your choice. With this, we end this video tutorial and we'll see you again in the next video. Till that time, goodbye.